going to be talking pavlova, or pav. This is a great Australian dessert. Of course, there's a lot of debate on whether the pav originated in Australia or New Zealand. I'm an American, so I'm going to stay out of that debate if it's all right. For now, though, we're going to leave off the whipped cream and we're going to leave off the fruit, all right? We're just going to look at the basic pav without anything on it. Okay, for the sake of argument now, let's say this pav is your research project. And this pav, for the sake of argument, isn't store-bought that we know of. We made it from scratch, all right? So your research project is not something that you bought in the store either. You made it from scratch. You tried a few recipes. You probably tried a lot of recipes. You tried a lot of different things. And now you have this, the perfect pav. Say you're invited to a party where you have to show up with a dessert. Would you show up with a pav looking like this? Yeah, neither would I. So what does that mean when it comes to your research project? I'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's break down pav another way by using the three letters P, A, and V. The first letter P stands for preparation, and this is really important because what you do to prepare for an interview can make all the difference. Now, let's say you get a call from the media. What you want to do is buy yourself some time. So think of this. If the media calls you in virtually every situation you encounter, you won't have to do that interview right there and then. Instead, use that opportunity to do your own interview and get some key questions answered. First of all, what you want to do is find out who's doing the interview. A lot of times, if you do get a call from a media outlet, it may be a producer. You ask him or her who's actually doing the interview, who's going to be the reporter, and also find out what you can about the media outlet. The next thing is find out what kind of interview it is. Is it live or is it taped? Is it for print, online, or is it radio or TV? Knowing what kind of interview it is makes a lot of difference. What is the context of the interview? Is it about your research? Or is it about something in the news now that you may have some expertise about? Have they talked to others about the subject? And most importantly, ask about deadline. In other words, when do they need to do this interview by so that they can get their story done? Or is this an interview for a radio at a certain time? Is it live? So finding out when this is going to happen or needs to happen by is really important because it acknowledges the journalist's pressure that they're under, the deadline pressures they're under to get a story done. Then, once you've bought yourself some time, contact me or contact your center media person or someone at your university media team so that we can help you get prepared. The second letter's A, and I think we can all guess what that is, right? Yep, it's audience. Now, whether you're trying to get the media's attention or they've reached out to you already, you need to think about their particular audience. Different media outlets have different target audiences. You need to understand who that media outlet is trying to go after. Who's their audience? Find out what you can about that audience and make sure that you tailor your key messages to make sure that whatever you're trying to get out into the public, those messages are tailored for that particular audience. And here's an important thing about communicating your research. It's not the audience's job to try to understand your research. It's your job to get them to understand it. And if you don't understand the audience, you're not going to be able to get them to understand your research. Which brings us to our last letter, which is V, which is visuals. So what we're going to do here is add some cream. Now let's add some fruit. I got some blueberries, some strawberries here. And eventually, this is going to look really good. So what does this have to do with your research project? When we're talking about visuals, what are we talking about? I can say we're not talking about charts, graphs, things like that. What is your research project about? Is it about something in nature? Is it about people? Is it about healthcare? Whatever it may be about, we can work to really find some cool visuals, whether that be images, videos. That's a big selling point for any journalist to be able to have something. Even if it's a radio interview, the radio station has websites and they want cool visuals as well. Think of it as your project competing in this rolling news feed where things are going up and down. You want something that's going to stand out. And I don't know about you guys, but I really like extra cream on my pal. I think that really makes it taste delicious. And you know what really makes an interesting research story? Personal details maybe about you and who you are and your research project. Was there a eureka moment along the way? Did you discover something that you didn't intend to discover that surprised you? Killing me, Gus. You do understand you're walking right into my video shoot, right? Or was there some interesting person that you worked with along the way, a great collaboration? And it's these stories that kind of bring things to life and turn it from a research project into a story. And that's what people really want. They want stories. But Tim, in the midst of making this PAV, you didn't even talk about the interview itself. I know. I just wanted to stress the importance that getting ready for an interview is so important, and that you have your messages, you have visuals, and you've thought about your audience. You've done everything you can to prepare. To me, that is so important. When it comes to preparing for the interview itself, there are some really good free online resources. One that comes to mind is from the Australian Science Media Centre with its Media Savvy page. Another is from AAAS, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and its Communications Toolkit, and there are plenty others as well. I'm happy to talk more with you about specific types of media interviews, but when it comes to working with the media, think PAV. Preparation, audience, and visuals. Now all this talk about PAV has me pretty hungry. It has Gus pretty hungry too, so I have something for him here. All right, good boy. And I'm gonna have some of this PAV. See ya.